All right, everyone, welcome into another episode of the Spoiler Alert Podcast, episode 41. And this is going to be the episode titled Dylan Doesn't Do Shit and Lets Ty Do All the Talking. I have been lazy. I haven't seen much, except one film that we will talk about. We're going to do a full review. That is going to be Leave the World Behind, the latest Netflix Sam Esmail film. And then Ty saw two films. I feel good about both of them. Godzilla -1 and The Boy and the Heron. And he's going to convince me to see those, which I think will be a bit easy. So not that much of a task for you, Ty.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad.
Awesome. So let's hop right into it. The most talking I'm probably going to do during this episode, and there really isn't that much coming out this week. Only 3 movies really worth talking about this week. The biggest one, of course, is Wonka. With dreams of opening a shop in a city renowned for its chocolate, a young and poor Willy Wonka discovers that the industry is run by a cartel of greedy chocolatiers. So, Timothy Chalamet, apparently it is a musical, Ty, which threw me off.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was a musical either. And also rated PG, so I mean, I kind of figured it was going to be slightly towards kids, but hopefully it's not just a straight up like children's film.
Yeah, it wasn't advertised like at all as a musical. In the trailer. It didn't feel like it. In the descriptions, nothing. So I don't know if we just like missed that whole bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still excited for this one just because I just love the original Willy Wonka is great, like I've said before. This one, I'm still gonna see it. Now that I know it's a musical, we'll see how good it is though. Yeah, it might be a little too like quirky and kooky for me.
Well, I think that can be said about all of them. Both of the previous films, at least. You know, the Gene Wilder one is, you know, that there's something to be said about that. Like, it's almost so historic of a movie that everyone knows it.
Yeah, for sure. I was just listening to the soundtrack the other day. That's how much I like it.
Yeah. Nice. And same guy, what's the guy? Robert? The guy that wrote it, same guy who did Henry Sugar. Ronald Dahl.
Yeah.
So fun seeing that name yet again. I wonder how much is inspired by his actual writings versus, going off script a little bit there.
There's kind of making a Wonka origin story.
Yeah, but it's getting good reviews. About a 7.5 I'm seeing currently. Paul King is the director. He's known for the Paddington films, which I've never seen. I'm a little too old for them, but
yeah, me either.
Apparently they're pretty good from what I hear.
Yeah, I've seen that they're solid, so that's cool.
But that's the biggest movie here. The other 2 here, just things to throw in here just because of some interesting tidbits. This one is called Control. British Home Secretary Stella Simmons drives home one night while engaging in an affair with the Prime Minister. A mysterious man remotely hijacks her self-driving car, forcing her on a rampage through London. So, interesting concept, I guess. It kind of sounds a little bit like Leave the World Behind with cyber attacks.
Yeah.
But the most interesting part, Kevin Spacey is the voice. He is the mysterious man that hijacks her car.
Oh, so he's not even in it. It's just his voice.
It is just his voice. I don't think people are ready to see him again yet.
Right. That's why I was like, what the hell?
So that's really why I included this movie. Obviously, Kevin Spacey has kind of been booted from mainstream films and everything. So throwing him back in here just as a voice is interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not... It kind of gives off like B-movie vibes. It kind of has like that look about it. Like, so I don't think this is going to theaters, but it's probably going to pop up somewhere. But I don't know. Is this going to make your list of must-see movies here?
No, probably not. Especially because I was checking out the director. That's really a big thing I look at now is who directed it. Even if like movies getting good reviews and everything, if it's a director I'm not really a fan of, I find myself not liking it.
Yeah, me too.
But Gene Feliz, I probably said that wrong, but I don't really care. because he's only directed garbage in the past. He made a knockoff Superman movie, which has a 4.0 on IMDb.
I'm looking now. Yeah, well, I've never heard of any of this. This is
No, as you should.
Yeah, trash.
So we'll glaze over that one. Just wanted to bring it up because of the Kevin Spacey bit.
Yeah.
The other one here does have potential. It was actually submitted for Best International Film for this year's upcoming Oscars. It is called Concrete Utopia. It is a Korean film, South Korean film. Survivors from a massive earthquake struggle for a new life in Seoul. So while that sounds like a simple concept, from what I'm reading about it, there's actually a more like psychological thriller piece about it.
Okay. Yeah, I've been big on the old Japanese disaster movies lately. Maybe I'll have to go watch this one.
Yeah, get to see how Koreans do it too.
It's somehow going to tie into Godzilla too. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's going to come in. But yeah, submitted for Best International Film, which is interesting. I mean, can you just submit films? I don't know the process for the Oscars.
Wait, what was that?
Can you just submit a film to be nominated? Like, you could be like, hey, I think you should nominate this, and you submit the film to them and they have to watch it? Or how, like, could we just make a shit movie and be like, hey, we want to submit this for an Oscar?
I think it might be easier whenever it comes to the international ones, because there's not as many that do get submitted, I don't think. But I could be completely wrong. I don't really know.
Yeah, that's fair. I will look that up while you do the news.
Okay, cool. There's not a ton of it this week, so not a ton here, but a couple interesting things. So A24 movies are going to stream exclusively on HBO and Max after their theater runs. So it's a multi-year deal. A24 is going to bring their newest movies straight to HBO Max and Cinemax, which is who the hell uses Cinemax anymore? That's weird. After their initial theatrical runs, some coming soon are going to be Priscilla, The Iron Claw, and Dream Scenario, which I already saw. Dream Scenario movie is awesome. In addition, the company's going to bring their licensing deal and another over 100 titles to the HBO Max, so that's cool. A24, one of the best doing it right now, as we've said before. This is really just, I think it's HBO trying to save face here, because a lot of people probably are getting tired of that streaming service now that, there's not as many shows on. They're trying to get me to keep my subscription. I don't know if I'm gonna, so we'll see. I like A24, but I'll probably see those movies in the theater, and I won't really need to be keeping my Max subscription just to hold on to them. Another big one here, I don't know if you saw this one or not, Saw 11 got announced. So Lionsgate made a surprise announcement of Saw 11 on Monday afternoon, with plans for the 11th entry in the horror franchise to hit theaters just 9 months from now. It was actually confirmed through an Instagram post, and it saw the spooky, this actually says, spooky Roman numerals in a Saw backdrop spelling out September 27th, 2024. And it had the caption, "The game continues." So it's crazy that Saw X was already 2 months ago. It feels like it was longer than that.
Yeah.
That's crazy how fast time's been going. It's definitely a quick turnaround, though, for Saw, because it's about a year until the next, or it's going to be just about a year in between releases. We both liked Saw X a lot, one of the best horror movies of the year for sure, and it definitely put up strong numbers at the box office. It did $107 million globally on a $13 million budget, so it was just a matter of time until they announced the 11th one. And then really the last thing here is just some Golden Globe nominations. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's seriously so many, but a couple quick things here. I'll go over like some of the main categories. Barbie was the most nominated movie with 10. Oppenheimer got nominated 8 times. And here are some of the most nominated film distributors. So Netflix had the most with 13. Warner Brothers had 12. A24 had 11. And the rest are just Universal with 11, Searchlight Pictures with 8, and Apple had 7. A couple of the big awards here nominated for Best Motion Picture Drama category. Obviously, we're going to have Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, which is coming to Netflix, I think, next week. That's Bradley Cooper's new movie. Past Lives, which I still haven't seen. Did you see Past Lives?
I did. It was garbage.
Yeah, okay. Thought so. And then Anatomy of a Fall, which I still haven't seen, but it's on the list. I think it's on HBO Max too. Another foreign film. So I think I saw that it's 49% in English and the rest is a mix of German and French, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So kind of random there. For the nominees for Best Picture in a Musical or Comedy are going to be Barbie, Poor Things, American Fiction, The Holdovers, May December, and somehow Air snuck onto that list.
Huh.
I don't know how Air snuck onto that list.
I swear, I feel like Air came out in like 2022.
I thought the same thing, and I just don't know why doesn't seem in the same even tier as those other movies.
They had to fill out the ballot.
It's for sure going to be Barbie, even though we love The Holdovers. I'm excited for Poor Things. And apparently American Fiction's really good too. It's going to be the Barbie Award because it probably won't pick up many Academy Awards, but I'm sure it's probably going to clean up here at the Golden Globes. And then just
what's
one more
crazy is that like those other films, Poor Things and Holdovers, probably have a better chance of winning Best Picture in the Oscars than Barbie does, but less of a chance of winning this category of the Golden Globes.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm sure Barbie's going to clean up the Golden Globes like Oppenheimer probably will at the Oscars. And then just the last one I mentioned here, the other ones there's seriously so many, but Best Director here, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Celine Song for Past Lives. So, a couple surprises there. Maestro, obviously, I don't think in the theaters yet. Maybe a small release, but that's going to be straight to Netflix next week. I don't even know what really that's all about. I just know Bradley Cooper's playing an old maestro.
Yeah.
Sounds easy enough.
So I had to look up the odds for Golden Globes.
Okay.
Oppenheimer, clear favorite for drama. I think that's in the books.
For sure.
Poor Things is actually the favorite for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. So I think might throw a flyer on Barbie because I really do feel like that wins.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm still excited for Poor Things, though. I can't wait. I hope it's good. I hope it's as good as it's going to be. I think I'm seeing some showings for it next week finally, too. It had that small release. Now it's going wider. Not fully wide, but wider next week. Gotcha. And yeah, other than that, there's not a ton more for the news. That was pretty much it.
Gotcha. So I did find out how to submit a film.
Okay.
And so the Oscars website, oscars.org, actually has a massive 40-page PDF of the roles for the award. So I didn't read that whole thing, obviously. I just kind of skimmed through, found the eligibility for the movie. So to summarize, it needs to be a feature-length motion picture, which is defined as over 40 minutes.
Okay.
It has to be exhibited on film, either 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter film, or you can do it digitally in a 2048 by 1080 pixel source. There's also audio rolls, which I'm not going to go through. And then it can do one of two things. One, it has to have won a qualifying film festival award.
Okay.
The second thing that it can do, if let's say it doesn't win a film festival award, it has to have completed a week-long theatrical run in a commercial theater of a qualifying metro area. And those metro areas are all in America. Los Angeles, New York City, Bay Area, Chicago, Miami, or Atlanta.
Okay.
So those are the big roles. There's a massive list of them here, but those are the two major roles. So while that is difficult for sure, that feels easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely keeping people from us like shooting a movie on our iPhones and just being like, hey, nominated for an Oscar, buddy.
Do it. Just really piss them off.
Yeah. They take that shit seriously.
But Ty, some films that we won't make, but you have seen, and you're going to convince me to see. Let's kick it off with the big guy, Godzilla.
Yeah, let's
big
kick it off
girl.
with
It's
the
a
big
girl,
guy.
isn't it?
I
think
don't want to assume
Godzilla's female.
I don't want to assume Godzilla's gender, but they never really say.
Okay.
I'm sure it might actually be. They might actually call her in the movie. I can't remember.
In Godzilla 2000, she 100% has eggs.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is a girl then, a girlzilla, if you will. But Godzilla -1. So I was excited to see this one after, we've just been seeing and hearing such good stuff about it. They're calling it the best Godzilla movie, which, to be fair, not a very high bar to top. The current Godzilla franchise is getting way too convoluted, bringing in King Kong and other monsters and all kinds of bullshit. But going into this one, though, it was almost a DNF right off the bat because of the speaker situation at the theater. They sounded so blown out and pixelated, and I thought, oh, maybe this is just a part of this preview or whatever. No, it was just, they needed like hard reset somehow. I'm glad they fixed it because I was going to be that guy to go out and complain. Luckily, somebody else went out and did it before me, so I didn't have to be that guy. But they got it done, so that was cool. Because you can't have fucked up speakers for a Godzilla movie. You need it to be loud and in your face. And this movie was perfect for the theater. So, quick synopsis here. Not really a ton to it. It's a Godzilla movie, but post-war Japan is at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb. I feel like I had to put some emphasis on it because it's just the way it was written was hilarious. It stars a great cast.
Oppenheimer sequel.
Pretty much. It stars a great cast of Japanese actors that we wouldn't recognize from anything else, but everyone was good in their roles in this, whether it was like the fighter pilot, a boat captain, scientist. Everybody's very good. It's currently got an 8.5 on IMDb, 97% certified fresh critic score, and 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So real high numbers there. I'm just going to jump right into it. So the plot to this movie would have been good enough to stand on its own even without Godzilla. So that's how you know it's a good movie, because in a lot of these other movies with Godzilla, they push you way too hard to give a shit about a human like subplot that isn't worth your time. But this one is just really, really good. It would be a great movie about a soldier trying to return to everyday life after World War II and dealing with the consequences of the war, PTSD, all that. But then you throw Godzilla in the mix and it's just a complete banger. So instead of forcing you to give a shit about like Millie Bobby Brown, you just actually feel bad for the main character. His name's Shikishima. For everything that he's been through.
Sick name.
The dude hasn't caught a break since the war, and then fucking Godzilla shows up. So it is different from other Godzilla movies, though, in that you absolutely don't root for Godzilla in this movie. In the other ones, they kind of want you to feel bad for Godzilla or like root for Godzilla against other monsters. Not this one. Godzilla's just a big, stupid lizard asshole in this one that absolutely needs to die at any cost. So that's good. That's refreshing compared to the other ones. The movie doesn't waste any time, though, in introducing the monster either, and it looks great. Given the small budget they had, it looks amazing. Cinematography is awesome. They did a really good job with that and the set and everything, the sound, all that. It's super creative in how they go about fighting Godzilla 2 without going too far into detail. I don't want to spoil it, but it's cool how they go about doing it. It's not just like, holy shit, how do we fight Godzilla? They have a plan. But I did love this movie, though. I think it was a blast in the theater. Some people would have been turned off by the subtitles and all that, but it makes no difference. It was absolutely just a blast. Really good time, really good movie. Definitely is the best Godzilla movie, though. Like they said, the hype is real. And to me, it gets like a high 8. Damn near 9. So it's a really good time. I can't recommend this one enough.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, don't gotta convince me too hard to see anything related to Godzilla. I like that big stupid asshole lizard. They're funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what a way to describe them.
Other ones, they try to make you feel bad for Godzilla or something like that. Like, oh, the people are the real villains and stuff. No, this Godzilla's a piece of shit.
And that's how the OG Godzilla was. They're like, fucker comes out of the ocean and just starts destroying everything. Yeah. And they gotta come together to fight him. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The Americanized Godzilla movies, that's exactly it. They make you try to care more about these people's stories, and they're like, oh, Millie Bobby Brown for some reason can communicate with Godzilla, and Godzilla won't attack her. I'm like, Godzilla can't fucking see her, like I hate that shit. In the new Godzilla series, Monarch, the same fucking way.
Yeah, I wanted to start that, I really did, but then after seeing this, it's like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, they really messed up. Like the first 2 episodes were solid, and then it straight up just does a bunch of flashbacks, and we're like talking about like old boyfriends and stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't care. Show me a big dinosaur.
Yeah, for sure. If you're watching a Godzilla series, you want to see monsters and shit. You don't care about the humans.
Exactly.
Which is really all they're probably going to do with it, because I'm sure the budget's not crazy high to just have CGI monsters all over the fucking place.
Right. So I will ask that question. You said it didn't take them long to bring Godzilla into the movie. So how much screen time does he really get?
Quite a bit. Maybe a little less than you'd think.
Okay.
But yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, I'm trying to think back. You could always do a little more Godzilla, if I'm being honest.
For sure.
But yeah, it wasn't bad. Not a bad amount.
And then, you brought up the budget, lower budget. Let me actually see what that budget was.
I actually got it right here.
15 million.
Yep, 50 million, or 2.2 billion yen.
There you go.
2.2 billion yen.
Funny thing about that. So my where I work is owned by a Japanese company. Mm-hmm. So if I get stocks for them, it's in yen. So okay. I can be like, I'm a millionaire, but it's in yen, so it's like not really that impressive. But yeah, so with that lower budget, how does Godzilla look? Is it passable? Or do they like do the thing where they don't focus on him enough to let you see that it's not that great?
So a couple shots in the trailer, I was kind of like, is this going to look okay? But I think they might go practical with a lot of it, like a smaller set and like a model or something almost. It looks really good.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely, budget really didn't have too much of an effect on it. And it did make 53 million so far, so that's cool. Good for them. They've definitely made their money back and then some. And I did see that they ended up extending their theatrical release till, I think, the end of this week. So that it'll be in theaters for about another week or so, and then it'll probably be streaming pretty quickly. You'll be able to get it on Amazon or wherever.
Awesome. Yeah, I really, really want to see this movie.
I think you'll for sure like it. Yeah, for sure.
It does have... Can it possibly be first? No, it cannot. But it can crack the top 3. And, based on how much I have a bias towards Godzilla, so I think this has a decent shot.
Yeah, I think it's worthy of a top spot, honestly. So that'll definitely be interesting to see if it's going to shake it to the top.
That does give a little bit of a teaser. Our award show will be coming up in what? Next episode is Christmas episode. And then, maybe in 3 episodes, we're going to have it. And
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be, I'm very interested to see how it shakes out. Like we have our list here, we have our sheet, and it has all of our rankings and everything, our ratings. And there's some films that both of us still need to see to come to that consensus. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, me too. And I think in that time off, right before and a little bit after Christmas, that's a perfect time to watch some movies. Maybe I'll try to catch up on some movies there.
For sure.
I gotta see where they end up.
I got to see quite a few, honestly. Maybe I can hit some of those double features.
Yeah, for sure.
Ty, you had to do a lot of reading here. The next movie was actually. Did you see the subtitle version of The Boy and the Heron, or was it dubbed?
So I saw the subtitle Godzilla, because that's the only version there is. I saw the English dub of The Boy and the Heron.
Heron. Okay.
I keep saying Heron. Heron. It's Heron.
Heron. The bird.
The Boy and the Gray Bird. So let's just hop right into it. I was excited to see this one. I had bought tickets to a different showing like 3 different times, and I just refunded it and then didn't end up going. That's what's great about Fandango, is that if you get a ticket you can't make it to that showtime, or you still don't feel like it anymore, you can just exchange it for credit and then just rebuy the ticket another time. So that's what I ended up doing with this movie. I had like 3 different times I ended up trying to see it, but then finally made it. But I will say this one's a little bit tricky for me. So it's the first ever Miyazaki movie that I've seen, let alone in theaters. And going into it, I'm admittedly not a big anime guy. It's never really done it for me, with the exception of, like I said, like Dragon Ball Z as a kid. I appreciate anime, but it's just not my favorite, I'll say. So let's hop into this. Quick synopsis here. A young boy named Mahito, I love saying his name, yearning for his mother, ventures into a world shared by the living and the dead. The dead comes to life there. Their dead comes to an end, and life finds a new beginning. There we go. It's apparently a semi-autobiographical fantasy from the mind of Hayao Miyazaki. I have no idea how it's semi-autobiographical, but I do know that semi-autobiographical is hard as fuck to say. Absolutely amazing voice cast here. Christian Bale, Gemma Chan, Robert Pattinson, who's the Grey Heron, Mark Hamill, Florence Pugh, Dave Bautista, Willem Dafoe, and there's still probably even more that I missed. It's funny though, whenever you do recognize the voice and you're like, oh, okay. Current ratings here, 7.7 IMDb, 96% certified fresh critics on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 90 audience score here on Rotten Tomatoes. So here we go. I'm not gonna lie, I almost walked out of this movie a few different times. I felt so bored watching it. Without a doubt though, like, the animation is amazing, and the English dub voice cast is great, especially Robert Pattinson in his first role. The movie's charming as hell, but I just couldn't connect with the story whatsoever. I found it this sounds so harsh, I found it a little bit pointless. It was kind of convoluted, and it was just really boring to me. Okay. It kind of was all over the place. It didn't make a ton of sense, and it had no consequences. And I get it. It's an anime. It's an animated adventure. It doesn't really need all that. But for me to give it a good score and just connect with the movie, it needed some of that. And it didn't really do it for me. I do recognize, though, I'm not the target demographic. I'm not a huge anime guy. But I figured it would be a little something that a mainstream moviegoer would enjoy a little bit more. But I think if you're not into anime like me, this movie's probably gonna not be for you either. But that's what I'm excited to see what you think about this movie whenever you watch it. Because I don't know how to score this without being too harsh. Because I really do think it's a good movie, but I just didn't really like it.
Fair.
It's so tough to go numbers on this one because I know that it's like, I recognize it's a good movie, and I really like the animation, the voice cast, but the plot just didn't do for me one bit. I guess, like, I don't know, maybe a 4.
It's all right.
Or if I had to. It's tough. See, I wish I'd seen some other Ghibli movies to compare it to, or to kind of know what to expect going in. But I'm definitely curious to see what you think about it as an anime fan.
So it's interesting, everything you said to me honestly makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I think you might feel pretty similar about his other films.
Yeah, okay.
They're not action. There's not a lot of action. The most action is probably How in the Moving Castle, from what I've seen. But even that, it's a lot of dialogue, character building.
That's exactly what this was. Yeah, I thought it was going to be like more of a, like adventure action kind of movie. And there is, but it's a lot of just kind of just roaming around and talking and seeing shit and doing shit.
Yep. That's exactly how just about all of his films are. It's a lot of roaming around almost aimlessly. But they try to make it more philosophical almost. Yeah.
And I can see that in this one. There probably is like some philosophy behind it. I don't know, though. It just didn't really hit home for me. I feel bad because I really did want to like this movie. Sure. But it didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what separates me from the rest of the moviegoers, I think.
Sure.
I'm not going to give it a good score just because I know everybody else is giving it a good score.
Right.
If it doesn't hit home, I just kind of got to go with the gut feeling there.
And that's honestly what I think I really like about our show is that's how we rate movies.
Yeah.
We're rating it on if we enjoyed and liked it, not, we're not the Oscars. We recognize that, we're not trying to be. We're not like, ooh, this was a technically sound movie and good narrative writing. Like that's the shit you would do in English class. And like, I don't think either of us were super big into that.
Right. Yeah. No.
So it's absolutely fine to recognize that a film is technically well done, but you just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. That's why once you see it, it'll be more of a discussion, I think, because I can't really dive too deep into it without, kind of spoiling, I guess.
Right.
But once you see it, it'll be a little bit more of a discussion, because I know for a fact you'll probably enjoy it more than I did.
And that's where, maybe you're convinced me to see is like, should probably see it if you're a Studio Ghibli fan and know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But if not, maybe temper expectations.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to go see a really good animated movie with a cool voice cast and you want to give anime a shot, go for it. But at the same time, if you're not a big anime guy, don't be surprised if you don't love this movie.
For sure. We'll say all of Studio Ghibli is on Max.
Okay, yeah, okay.
If you did want to
I do want to hop into some more of it.
Yeah, I think Spirit Away is probably the one that's recognized as the best.
Yeah.
But it's also very like, what the hell am I watching? It's a lot of that.
From what I've seen, this is like this one is a little bit more different than the rest of his movies in that it's not kind of just straightforward. There's kind of like a lot of, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I was looking at on IMDb and other people's reviews, and they said it was a little bit divergent from his typical movies in that it's a little bit more, it is more convoluted, but yeah, I think I'm still going to give those other movies a shot.
Sure.
But I think I probably should have started with those and then seen this one.
Fair enough. Awesome. Well, Ty, now I can have some input in these conversations. We are going to do the full review of Leave the World Behind, the latest Netflix movie. Sam Esmail directed, wrote. If you recognize the name, it is likely from Mr. Robot, as he was the creator of that. I don't know a ton of other things he's made. Homecoming, I guess that was a series. I don't remember hearing about it at all. He produced it. He didn't write it. He wrote a movie called Comet. Honestly, Mr. Robot is like
his namesake.
That is his whole thing.
Yeah.
And now obviously he's getting more chances to do things just because his name's on that.
Mm-hmm.
But Ty, let's hop into it. I think the first thing we can say here, and I'll be honest, when I first saw the trailer and saw who was in it, I honestly was not really planning to watch it.
Really?
It didn't really click with me. I'm not the biggest Julia Roberts fan. I'm not the biggest Ethan Hawke guy. Mahershala Ali, I do like him. But yeah, I'm not big on really either of them. And the trailer, I'm just like, I kind of had that same thought you said to me. It's like, I hope this isn't like a social commentary on technology.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, that's probably exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then I saw Sam Esmail's name on it. And I was like, oh shit, okay. I'll give that a go. And honestly, his name was what made me watch it.
Yeah. I didn't actually see the trailer. I just knew that I knew the premise going into it, and I knew it had a solid cast, and I saw that it was coming straight to Netflix. That's always a plus. If you're straight to Netflix and you have solid premise, solid cast, that's an easy watch on a weekend. I'm sure we probably talked about it or mentioned it on the pod before, but I didn't really know too much going into it other than just like what I quickly read. Current scores on this one are wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's currently got a 6.6 on IMDb, 75% certified fresh critic score, 37% audience score, which is, I think, where we're going to end up.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I mean, I don't know your score, but I know we have similar thoughts around it. I don't know if we're going to go like that low. I think we're somewhere in between. No. But, let's hit upon the the good and the bad.
For sure.
I think pros, really, really cool concepts, I think.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
Like cyber attacks are definitely the future. I mean, that was the whole fucking Mr. Robot thing. He knows enough about tech. Yes, they stretch a lot of things. But he knows enough to make it realistic enough. And that's kind of what this movie felt like. We're like, something like this could happen. You know, it's just real enough. It's not like Black Mirror where you go fully off the rails. It's just real enough. Yeah.
And I do love a good disaster movie, like society crumbling kind of movie. So that was another one. I was excited because I'm always down for a movie like that.
For sure. Con, I think we both had way too long.
Absolutely way too long, yeah.
And I didn't expect that it was going to be too long because, 2 hours, 18 minutes, that's not super long in terms of films nowadays.
Yeah.
But because of how things were handled in the film, and again, we'll get into spoilers in a little bit, it made the movie feel a lot longer than it was.
It definitely did. And just quick side note, both movies I just talked about are actually both the same amount of time, same runtime, 2 hours, 4 minutes, both.
Interesting.
Crazy.
I will also say I wasn't a fan of a lot of the characters. I don't think most of them were written very well, except maybe Mahershala's.
Agreed. Agreed on that for sure.
We'll get into it more with spoilers, but Julia Roberts' character was just so like back and forth on kind of who she wanted to be. Ethan Hawke's character was basically an idiot, know? Yeah. And then the daughter, like, I couldn't tell if she was like 30 or 12, like she is in the show.
Yeah, and, I know.
Boy was just kind of a douchebag.
Boy was a douchebag.
The Mahershala's daughter was too woke for my liking.
Yeah.
She really wanted to push blame on things that were stupid, and I'm glad they didn't dive more into that than necessary.
Definitely.
But they're really the only six in the film. Kevin Bacon's in it, but barely.
Kevin Bacon does show up.
Yeah. So, and anything else we want to hit on, Ty, before we start spoiling it?
No, it definitely
other than our scores.
It definitely starts off strong, but because I remember I texted you, I was like, yeah, it's definitely starting off like kind of like calm before the storm. It's intense. It feels like something's about to happen, and then it just doesn't. It
doesn't. Yeah, that's exactly it.
It just doesn't.
It doesn't happen. And that's what, I think I told you, a while ago on Reddit, someone posted these videos of dubstep songs where it's just a bunch of rising, and you're like, oh yeah, it's getting good. Here comes the drop. And then the drop never comes. That's this movie.
Exactly. Yeah, that nailed it.
But score-wise, Ty, where did you land?
It's tough because the beginning's pretty solid, and then the end falls off a cliff. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go 4.
4? Okay, so same as The Boy and the Heron, but for different reasons.
For different reasons, yeah.
Yeah, completely fair. So, this is one of the times I end up a little bit higher. I went a 6.
I was at a 5. I was at a 5, and I thought I might bring it down to a 4. So I'm right in that range, 4 or 5. Because if you think about it, it does start off strong. Half of it's good, the other half's not so good. So I guess about a 5 is where I'm at, 4 or 5.
Yeah, 5 makes sense. Yeah, the reason I went 6 was more so just because of the concepts. I really, really liked the concepts that Sam was throwing around in this movie.
Me too.
It just didn't. They never happened. And I will say I was engaged for just about most of the movie. 80-90%. So that's always a plus. A lot of films, they'll lose my interest.
Definitely.
This one, it's exactly that. You keep expecting the big thing to happen, and it keeps you on your toes, but then it doesn't. So I didn't know how to feel about that, because it was like, oh shit, this is getting wild, but then there's no real climax almost. Let's get into the spoilers here. If you're heading out, we will see you next week.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, like, man, the biggest thing that bothered me with this movie was the fucking deer.
Fucking so obnoxious.
I don't get it. Like, so, like, I understand, like, they're like, oh, it was explained. No, it fucking wasn't. Like,
yeah, there was like a quick radio snip. They're like, oh, the migration patterns of animals change. That was it. But how? Yeah. It doesn't explain what the hell they did in the movie. It doesn't explain just them coming to the house, 300 some deer coming to the house and standing around them in the field in the woods. That was just stupid. It was stupid.
100%. It's like, okay, cool. Their migration pattern changed. That's why there's a shit ton of them here. Why they going up and confronting people?
Yeah, they wouldn't. If their migration pattern changed, they wouldn't just go to people's houses and just go into. And they're still afraid of people. Yeah, their behavior doesn't change. Yeah, so that was weird. And just standing in the woods screaming at the deer for a really long, drawn out amount of time, it just pissed me off. And that will take me into my quick little segment here. Really dumb shit that happens in this movie that pisses me off. I have a couple things here that were really dumb and pissed me off. Trying to use a satellite phone whenever he knew damn well that satellites and electronics were all down was fucking stupid. Not realizing that there was an entire fucking wrecked airplane in the beach in front of him in a backyard was really fucking stupid. And then the girl saying, oh, the animals are trying to warn us. That was just so stupid too.
That was really
animals
stupid.
aren't doing shit.
No, they're just there.
A couple other things that pissed me off. The random sideways spinning shots. I get it, you're going for like a cool like cinematography shot, but like I was looking at it and it would just start spinning. I was like, this is gonna make me sick. It did it like 2 or 3 times. It would just like turn sideways and start spinning. I'm like, what the hell? Like I said, screaming at the deer, that pissed me off. And Friends being a major plot point of any movie is gonna always piss me off, let alone the ending. That just pissed me off so much. And I had this written down. Matthew Perry left the world behind, people. Zing.
Got him.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, that was... You knew she was going to see it. You knew she was going to see the end. They wouldn't harp on it as much as they did if they weren't going to let her fucking watch it.
No.
And what she said before she just fucking disappears at the end doesn't make sense at all.
I don't even remember
maybe
what
to her. So she said, she was telling a story. She was telling a story about this dude who was trapped in a flood or whatever, and he's like, nope, God's gonna protect me. Helicopter comes, they're like, get on. He's like, nope, God will protect me. Then he drowns and dies. Asks God, and it's like, hey, why didn't you save me? God's like, bro, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter, what more do you want from me?
Yeah.
And she goes, we have what we need. I'm not waiting around anymore. And then we're like, okay, shit, she's gonna go get something. No, she broke into a house, ate all their food, and then watched Friends.
I thought they were gonna find her dead. See, that's another thing. No consequence happened. I thought she was gonna make it into this house and like the family was gonna be locked up in their bunker and she was gonna be dead or something like that. No. She just was able to mosey on down and fucking throw on season whatever of Friends and find the last episode.
Yep.
Oh.
And so I did know that the last episodes of every episodes of Friends is called like the one where whatever. And the last episode is called The Last One. Mm-hmm. And when they had that title screen, it was like chapter 5, the last one. I went, oh no.
Oh no, I didn't know.
I did know that. I went, shit. God, yeah. Sam Esmail, by the way, also a super big fan of title screens. He did that a ton in Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I know. In the beginning, it felt a little bit like Tarantino or M. Night-esque in that. In like some different shots, like we said at the beach, and I can't remember the other one, in the house, kind of like Knocked at the Cabin and Old. But then the title cards kind of just remind me of Tarantino-ish too, or something like that. But then, but yeah, like we say this a lot. Whenever there's like a story that doesn't have like much resolution or anything of consequence happens, that just pisses me off. and that really doesn't happen. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on around them, but even if they, like, let's say they go to Kevin Bacon's house, and instead of like him eventually caving in and giving them medicine for money, one of them gets killed. Why not kill Ethan Hawke right there on the spot? He did not. He didn't really bring much to the whole movie besides being kind of a dumbass dad. Smoked a little bit of weed with the girl.
So, oh man, okay. So there's a few things that I want to bring up here. I'll start from like the beginning with like there's no real resolution, and it might be one of those things where they're like, oh, we don't show what's gonna happen, but you can piece it together. Like they saw New York getting bombed, and I don't think it was a nuke.
No, I don't think so either. Because it wasn't like a flash. It wasn't like a...
Exactly. But I initially thought, I'm like, they just got fucking nuked. They're dead.
Right. I didn't think that
but then it didn't. So I guess it's just like, okay, this is a war zone. And whatever GH or whatever his name was said is happening. You know, they're shutting a country down from the inside to make them go crazy and cause a civil war. So cool, I guess. But... man, it's just one of those things where leaving the end up for interpretation, it has to be done right. And I think, sure, we can piece together what's going to happen, but we don't know exactly. We don't know if they die. We don't know if they sit out in the bunker that whole time watching Friends. We don't know.
Yep.
So the other thing, what else did you say? Kevin Bacon character where they're in a fucking standoff with the guns and it's getting real hectic, and I'm like, all right, something's gonna happen, because they showed GH's gun in the first like 15 minutes of the movie, so they have to use it, and they fucking didn't.
No.
And that happened so many times where it felt like conflict or something was gonna happen and it just didn't.
Making the decision to have a confrontation there, actually, like, something happened to one of the characters, that would have made a huge difference in the movie for me. Or like, even if whenever they come to the Airbnb in the beginning, if there was more tension there and like it ended up being like kind of a fight instead of just, okay, you guys we'll just be friends. If there was like more of like a fight there after, you know, given everything that's going on in the world at the time, it would have definitely made for like a better movie, I think, too. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, the family that's staying at the house, they don't know what's going on, and so they could have just like, nah, fuck off, shut the door and locked them out. You know, it's like, why let them stay? Like, and, you know, Julia Roberts' character was obviously pessimistic, which is completely fair and fine.
Then she does a 180 and she's dancing with them in the kitchen the next night, dancing with them, hugging the daughter. You know, her character was very weird. Yeah, it wasn't great in my opinion, because she kind of just did the 360 like with the no. She was like, okay, yeah, fine. Oh my God. So there was like a couple things with her character very, very early on. Number one, so it starts off with, you know, her packing, like, oh, I booked a Airbnb, basically, let's go stay there. And the reason being is like they're talking about how like they're struggling at work and everything. And it makes it sound like they're struggling financially as well. And I'm like, you just rented out this beautiful place? I thought you were struggling. And so you're like, okay, maybe they meant like, I don't know, actually struggling at work, not so much at money. Yeah. So that was weird. And then her whole thing is like, I fucking hate people. And then they immediately go to a public beach. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I thought the whole point of renting out this house is to get away from everyone. The house has a pool. There's no one around. Like, I don't understand why you're like, we need to get away. I don't see anyone, and then go to a public place. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous. And then, trying to think of the other thing. Back to like getting their son medicine because his fucking teeth are falling out. Yeah. What medicine do you think is going to help him if you're not a doctor and have no idea? Yeah, there's nothing for that, dude. That sound that they played, that probably rattled your brain loose. That fucked you up real good. I think he's about cooked. I don't think there's nothing. Yeah. He's like, here, have some Advil liquid gels for your for your fucking teeth falling out.
Yeah, like I didn't understand that. I'm like, okay, do you know what kind of medicine you need to help him out? Like, you don't know. And sure, you can go just grab antibiotics or something like that and hope for the fucking best, which maybe that's what their plan was. But like, I'm pretty sure they gave him like Advil or something.
For sure.
Stupid.
There's like, here you go.
Oh, all better.
For this. Almost
Your teeth are totally gonna grow back.
Yeah, stick them back in your face. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that was a bit silly.
They should have had that play out more too.
Yeah. I didn't like GH's daughter. She was like playing that race card thing. I do think that was actually handled kind of well, a little bit. They didn't go too much into like, oh, Julia Roberts' character is racism. It's like, no, she fucking hates people.
Yeah.
And, you could have been any race. I don't want you around. Also, you're a stranger. I don't know if you own this house. Everything she was doing made sense logically. She's protecting herself and her family. That was handled okay. Daughter was just there for conflict. She was the only one that actually caused conflict in the whole thing. And she doesn't shave her armpits.
Ooh.
Did you see that?
I did.
And like the dudes, the young boys like creeping on her. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like that Joe Rogan. Have you seen that Joe Rogan one where I think it's Shane Gillis who's like talking about this girl who had armpit hair, and Joe's like, that doesn't bother me. He's like, what, dude? He's like, you're kind of getting on the edge there. Yeah, some cool things I did like about the movie was it did apparently seem to be in the same universe as Mr. Robot, because there was a lot of E-Corp stuff, like her laptop. It had an E on it, and E-Corp is the major, I guess, villain, we'll call them, in Mr. Robot. So that was kind of cool to see. The dead pilot on the beach, his name tag said Captain Esmail. So, another nod to the director, which was kind of neat. Cool. What else we got here? Apparently they kind of had a preview of what was going to happen. There was a picture of waves in the upper bedroom during the movie. The tide is rising. Same applies for the black and white picture in the living room, which resembles a changing, Rorschach picture. Jesus. So, the big boat coming to shore, kind of symbolize that. Other than that, I do enjoy the concept of a cyber attack. I think that's super interesting, a different way of warfare. Where, there's no boots on the ground. They don't need to bomb anything. They, just thinking about that, everything's down. There's no internet. Okay. How do we get news? Well, I guess newspapers would still exist. Okay, but how do newspaper machines run? I guarantee those are all electric, run on the internet. Everything's written there. They're not using old printing presses and shit like that. So it is a wild thing to think about with all that, with planes falling out of the sky, boats crashing for whatever reason because of autopilot now. All the Teslas driving around, that was kind of neat.
That was definitely cool.
I am glad that scene wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because that scene was in the trailer, and I thought the Teslas were gonna be like chasing them down and stuff. I'm like, that's fucking dumb.
That's too much. I did see that. I just saw that Elon did respond to something about that, and he's like, instead of being like, "Oh, that's fucked up," he's like, "Yeah, Teslas can charge without gas." Like, he was like, "They can charge in the sun." And it's like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay."
Thanks, Elon.
Yeah.
Concept-wise, I think it was good. I almost wonder if this would have been better as a series.
Yeah, almost. I think it actually might have benefited from that quite a bit.
And because that's weird to say, right? Because we complain about it being too long, and a series would just make it longer, but also they would have more time to kind of flesh things out.
You could build up that relationship with Mahershala Ali's character and their family, and then you could build up the the interaction with Kevin Bacon,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe 4 is a little harsh. Maybe I will go 5 licks. Like I said, the beginning's good. They really nailed that kind of ominous feeling with the sound and all that stuff. And the ship crashing on the beach was cool. And what's crazy, whenever the plane did land at the same exact spot as the other plane that he didn't see.
I am glad it didn't go like supernatural.
Oh yeah, for sure, me too.
And stuff like that. I didn't think it would, but there was, with all the deer and everything, I'm like, are the deer going to be like a major thing and like save them or some shit? And I'm glad they didn't, but at the same time, the deer were fucking stupid. That was probably my biggest issue. There was zero need for them.
Yeah, no payoff for the deer. Just kind of stupid. Nothing. Yeah.
Also, the dropping of all the flyers. Why the fuck was he running away from it?
I don't know if he thought it was like some kind of dust or some kind of like chemical or something like that. But it was just flyers, and then he had to have felt like the biggest fucking idiot alive.
Yeah, he's just
it wasn't
hauled ass.
It was super intense at first, and he's like, "Oh shit!" It might have been like a chemical or something like that. So he fucking flips out and started flying away. There was just paper, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
Whoops. Also, the disappearance of all the people doesn't super make sense.
Yeah. With that house full of people, why wouldn't they just be in their fucking basement?
Yeah.
Unless they got caught in some traffic and some shit. I don't know. Who's to say?
I guess that's fair. Like, they were running away. The only way out of where they're at is through the city or something. But I don't know, man. I feel like there would have been some other people. One, they said where they are is pretty isolated. But also, two, they were able to get to a public beach. So I don't know. And the beach had a lot of people.
For sure.
I'm realizing that now too. Why wasn't there any other people? God damn it. Okay. I'm going down to a 5.
Okay, there it is.
I think we talked about it enough. There's enough flaws in this movie. The roadmap was there. They just failed to follow it.
Yeah.
But cool, Ty, I think that's where we ended. Anything else about this movie?
Good. No, I think it's worth a watch. We kind of shit on it for a little bit, and if you stuck around for the spoilers, you did get it spoiled. But I still think, throw it on. It's not a bad movie, but it's not certainly not the best either. For sure, we'll not be cracking. You won't be hearing about it in our awards episode, and sneak preview for next week's episode, Christmas episode. We're gonna have a Christmas movie face-off between Ty and I. Cool. That'll so we will see ya that time. Bye bye. Ho ho ho.